A very good morning to you. Welcome to Life and Style. I'm your girl, Mikali. This is Thursday. That means it's Inspirational Thursday. We try to motivate you, to encourage you. And I'll just put it out there. I walked this morning to work, got into the lift, and a lady was, the lift's almost closing, and then this lady just, so we called it, hold it. So I held the lift for her. And then she said, hi, what's your name? I said, Mikali. And she said, you know what, Mikali? God loves you. That has made my day. That has made my day, and I hope that makes your day. Go out there and tell someone, you know what, God loves you, bless you, smile at someone. Those are the little things that you do that changes someone's life every single day. Now we're going to start today on our motivator sector, and I'm talking about a guy who was a hawker, now turned CEO. I know, two different worlds apart, but same person. Welcome to the studio, Sylvanus.
Yes.
Osoro.
Yes.
How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
You know, when you say hawker to CEO, I'm imagining the guy who sold probably a handkerchief to me, and probably when I meet him 10 years later, 5 years later, 2 years later.
A handkerchief is even better. I mean, the guy who sold some biscuits and groundnuts somewhere in downtown, exactly, and some several years later, somewhere else.
Take us back to hawker, the journey.
I was born some 28 years ago in some small village in Kisii County called Nyakurere in South Mugrango constituency. And just like any other person, I was born and met parents, but I didn't see them for long. They passed on when I was 8 years old, you know, within a gap of like a month. So I became a street boy. I could move from household to household, you know.
At what age was this?
8 years.
Wow.
I was moving actually from relative to relative in search of education. And they used to say I'm stubborn. I'm the fifth born of, you know, in a family of 6. So unlike the rest of my siblings who were taken by different relatives, I was a bit neglected, or rather ignored, because I was much hyper than the rest. I was a bit noisy, and I used to eat so much. So you see,
No, I understand. I understand.
exactly. So I struggled in primary school from relative to relative, and eventually I finished my primary education in Kericho, having gone through like 7 schools, different schools. Passed very well. I was actually a top student in Kericho district then. And then I went to I was called in several schools, one of it being Kapsabet Boys. I lacked school fees. I went home. I became a casual laborer. Back at home, we do, you know, we do sugarcane plantation, and there's something we make called skaringuru.
Yeah, jaggery, yes.
Exactly. So we sell it to, you know, different people, and we sell sugarcane to factories and stuff. So I was working in such plantations. I was earning 50 shillings.
A day.
A day. So that was a lot of money, because within a month I made some money. I opened some kiosk. I was selling tea.
You've neglected your high school at this point.
No. I had actually gone to Form 1 in Kapsabet.
Okay.
Term 1.
Okay.
Where fees was paid from my father's savings. I was I think I was a beneficiary in some education cover.
Okay.
And money was actually paid for only 1 term. The rest of the money can't be traced to date. And I was chased from school, so I had only started for 1 term.
Okay.
The rest of the times I was at home doing such a thing that I've said. I opened some kiosk. I was selling tea and mandazi at 5 shillings. 5. But still I was studying, because I could get books from the local students in the local schools.
Day schools.
Day schools. So within the day, I was in the farm. In the afternoon, I opened the kiosk, because people, of course, now want to converge in the market to have some tea. That is in Kisii, the village called Nyakurere. I made savings. I made around 5,000, 6,000 shillings within 10 months. So I went to a school called Nyabigena High School, which is in Kisii and in my constituency, South Mugrango. I talked to the principal. I requested him to join Form 2. That was now the year I was supposed to be in Form 2.
So you didn't finish Form 1,
I never finished Form 1.
but you wanted to go straight to Form 2.
Exactly. But I was so sharp. The head teacher told me, you need to do the interviews first.
Okay.
I want to confirm whether, because you had only done first term. I passed very well.
A Form 2 exam.
Exactly. Because I was getting notes from local schools and I was okay.
Okay.
To date, that is my character. I read and get everything. I actually don't need to be in class. So now I passed very well. I paid school fees. I studied Form 2, Term 1. I taught in that class. Then again, in the second term, I lacked school fees. So I was playing the hide and seek game in school. I was living with my grandfather, who passed on now when I was in Form 2 now. So I was living alone. And there's a school bazaar noticed me while in Form 2. And apparently, he had some, connection with my father, my late dad, some years back that I didn't know. So he saw some resemblance. He saw it in me and was like, do you belong in this such and such family? I said, yes, that is my father. He told me, I know you're struggling for your school fees. I'll sponsor you.
Wow.
So he took me in for the second term. And I started, my education very well. Now we went for holiday in August. When we came back, I was told the bazaar died long ago. So I stopped schooling again. So he passed on during the holidays. And I went back home doing the obvious, like I was doing. Then I gave up doing the tea plantations. I went to town, Kisii town. I lived in some relative who told me, I can't take you to school, but I can give you something to do. So this person trained me some welding. I became a welder. I stopped schooling, but I was going to Kisii. No, I stopped. Now I started becoming a welder. I gave up in life. I gave up in school. But apparently, I never gave up education.
Okay.
I was going to the Kisii National Library every day for like 2 hours.
What did your family have to say about this? The ones who are saying you're stubborn, because it actually comes out. You did not give up at all.
To date, okay, they're all my friends.
Okay.
I appreciate them. I actually tell my uncle who chased me from Mukuru slum sometimes back that, through you, I became who I am because you opened my eyes.
Okay, let's go back to welding.
Exactly, I became a welder. I did welding for some time. Then along the way, something happened. And this thing that happened is that some guy came to have his car fixed. And he had some pickup or something. And the guy looked at me and he's like, you resemble some nurse I know. My mom was a nurse. You see how God works in his own ways. You resemble some nurse. I'm like, yes, my mom was a nurse. Now, which nurse are you talking about? He said, Sarah. I said, yes, that is my mom. Then he started abusing me. Why are your parents so stupid? You are a small boy. I used to be very tiny. Very small boy. Why are they allowing you to be here? I'm sure you've not finished high school. I'm like, I tried to speak up. The guy slaps me. I tried to speak up. They're like, then I waited for his temper to cool down. Then I now started saying. I told him, man, the parents you're talking about passed on a long time ago.
Okay.
I wish I get a person to sponsor me.
Then I
So
can
the guy
finish
said,
my
wow,
education.
I'll now take you through. So the guy really felt sorry. He had started a school in Kisii town called Hill Secondary School. The guy is called Omwenga. So he had started a school that had around 30 students, the whole school. And he took me in. I never, bothered about the environment or anything. Just went to school. In my class, I think we were around 11 or 12, thereabout, being taught by some guys who had finished high school in local schools because the guy was hustling. And some were graduates, others were just local guys, and some could even fail, something on the board. And you help them.
You as a student.
You as a student.
Okay.
I actually sat my KCSE with one of my teachers.
What are you saying?
Yes. He was repeating. So he registered in another school. So he was teaching me some unit. And right now he's a nurse somewhere.
Okay.
And I still beat him in high school. So you can imagine like, how
Student beats teacher.
exactly. You know, I always tell people it doesn't really matter where you study
That's true.
and what you go through, because in that school, I managed to get a B plus. And number two got a C minus or something, I think so. And of course, that was the end of the school. That is how, you know, the school was actually meant for me.
True.
We finished, and the school did the last paper. No, it was deregistered. Then they started registering students in other, you know, local schools.
Local schools there.
And eventually, you know, the last time I went there, it took me several years to go back to that school, only to find some rental houses there. I didn't really know that this was
that school was meant for you.
Exactly.
Clearly.
So from there now I came to Nairobi. Now that is the hustle, the hawking part.
Yeah.
It came in. So in Nairobi, I started living in my uncle in Mukuru slums, Mukuru kwa Ruben. He was some rich guy in Mukuru. Owning 12 units of, you know, the single units of Mukuru slums.
Yes.
He gave me one. And he told me, you can be here. I got a letter from the UON to study education. And that wasn't my calling. That wasn't my passion. My father was a teacher. He died poor. I'm not saying teaching is bad, but
it wasn't for you.
I saw that. I'm like, okay, this Mzee died poor. As much I never like saw him, whatever he left for us was so little. So I said, I don't want education. I had seen my uncle was very rich. By then, he was an accountant. So I dreamt of becoming an accountant because I wanted to be rich. And by the way, when I was in high school, I really struggled to get an A
in
mathematics and commerce. And I got them.
Oh, you got them?
And English. So I was like, okay, fine. I need to be an accountant. So I'll do whatever it takes to become an accountant. So I educate myself. So when I received that letter, I tried to transfer and tried to change the course. They refused. So I said I'll not go to campus. I started selling newspapers, the standard newspapers actually. Along, the offices were located along Moi Avenue, somewhere there about opposite Ibrahim supermarket.
Yeah.
I was getting 100 shillings per paper, per day, and 5 shillings per every paper that I sell.
So if you sell more money for you.
Yes, the other day I met my former boss here again, Mr. Ochola, and I really got excited. Now, I was negotiating for my company's deal with
Standard.
By then it was in Nation.
Okay.
So I was negotiating. The company was, these two companies were meeting. And I'm like, I know you. Can you say, yes, I know you used to sell newspapers. You're a vendor. Are you the CEO we're waiting for? You know, it was so funny.
Yeah.
So that is how I started. So I was selling newspapers. After newspapers, I buy njugus, the groundnuts, and
wrap them
and sell them along the streets. But then I was making money. Like the newspapers, I could sell along Mombasa Road, Bunyala and Mombasa Road.
Hapo kwa jam.
Exactly. I was making around 1,000 a day.
Wow, that's really good.
200 newspapers in a day. I wasn't leaving the place before. And that's how Mr. Ochola and my other immediate bosses, who are Mr. Mushai and Dominic, could identify me, because I was really selling masses. Because for me, it was about giving myself the best, give the best to whatever I'm doing. And
you got enough money to go to college?
Do you know I was selling groundnuts, and I started now buying mutumba clothes.
From newspapers?
I'm still selling.
Oh, you're still selling newspapers?
Newspapers are sold in the morning.
So hii kazi ya kando, side hustle.
It's a side hustle.
Side hustle ni mtumba na njugu.
Mtumba na njugu. Because after newspapers, I could go to Gekosh and buy groundnuts and sell, and then buy clothes and sell. I used to sell lady clothes. Mostly the boleros, the trench coats.
You know boleros?
Exactly, I know every clothes. I could buy them at around 50, 40 shillings. And like trench coats, the camera ones, you can get at 100 shillings and sell at 2,000. They're from Turkey anyway. So I see so many ladies in town.
Kando hapo kwa trench coat ya 100 bob. You have to give me links.
I see so many ladies in 100 shillings trench coat, but they don't know. Because they bought them at 3,000 or 4,000 somewhere. And I made money. My account had around 70,000, 80,000 shillings. within a period of around 8 months. So I went to Strathmore and registered CPA, that dream of mine. So still, I was doing the same thing. I was still living at Mukuru slums. But now this time around, my uncle told me to do what? To move out. You're over 18. So I came from work and found my mattress outside. Told me, man, get out of this place. You're over 18. So I moved out of his place. I started looking for a place. And this time around, it's important to note that I wasn't now selling clothes. I wasn't selling anything. I thought this money could be enough for me to finish my course so that I go back. So I stopped selling. So I never had anything. Started living in some posho mill.
Posho mill?
Yes, that wasn't being closed. That was my home. Now the owner also chased me some point because he wanted to renovate. Water, it would rain and it really had some poor drainage.
At the posho mill, you were still going to school?
Yes, yes. Eventually, I moved out of that place and went to Gekosh. I was living at Gekomba. Gekomba is a 24-hour economy. Before I went actually to Gekosh, I was sleeping in the bus station. That once the Kisii buses come from Kisii, ninaingia ndani, then I spend there before they leave. Then when they want to leave, I move my body to another vehicle.
Then that stopped, then you went to Gikomba.
Then from there I went to Gekosh. Then Gekosh, I realized at night, it's very busy. You get, bananas from the vehicles and everything and make 5 shillings per one. That was good.
So you're not sleeping now?
I'm not sleeping.
Go to school during the day?
It's weird that I wasn't even bathing. It was 20 shillings to take a shower. So you see, I could take a shower once a week, and that was on a Sunday.
We've talked about the struggle so much. Can we talk about when we get to, form this company, become a CEO? At what point do we get there?
Now, we get to that point when I got tired and, I lacked school fees and really lacked rent and lacked everything, and got some advertisement of a company that was looking for salespeople. And I went there, applied, and I was trained the basics of the sales, this promotion company. That marked the beginning of my wisdom and knowledge. Actually, that opened the doors for everything. I struggled my way, I learned, I followed the mentor, because I also have a mentor. I obeyed every step that I was being told in terms of the sales and marketing. I mastered the game completely, and now added so much on it. Then from there, I got to the level, in fact, in a sales company, I grew to the level of a sales manager.
Good.
And you see now, as we talk there now, I had switched. There is a level that I switched now my career from CPA when I realized it's completely not my calling. It's something that I thought it's my calling, but it wasn't. I was being pushed by what I saw when I was a young boy. And I realized I had a dream to something else, and that was law. So I was doing this, and I now took a law class.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So that is how I struggled from that company. The mentor grew me completely because of the strength and the commitment that I had done. And from there now, the Pitchface company was born, right from the mentor.
Okay.
So Pitchface group of companies was born very well. But you see, again, it wasn't as easy as ABCD again. Because even as a company director, at some point, I was auctioned for lack of rent and for lack, you grow. People think it's very easy. You see a person grown in terms of, everything, and you're like, okay, this guy probably came from some other place or something.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I really struggled even to raise Pitchface group of companies to what it is. When I look at the company's employees now growing to 3,000, it's not a joke. And in East and Central Africa, it's no joke.
Yeah, because it's got its tentacles in
exactly.
East and Central Africa.
It's something that I've seen. And it's something that I've seen, right from the biscuit level and the groundnuts level to this level.
I know.
So it's something that you grow gradually. I remember at some point when I was living with some guy named Mkuru kwa Ruben and not paid rent of 600 shillings for 3 months. And this guy was called Innocent Otito. My neighbor was the landlord. So anytime we could open the door, the neighbor could come and knock. Where is my rent? So one time I told Otis, now you need to do this. Fall sick. Pretend to be sick. So when we got to the house, Innocent fainted, right? Then I went to the house and told, hey, landlord, you need to come here and help me. So Innocent was there, behaving as if he had conversed. And I told the landlord, this guy, he needs some spirit or something.
Mm-hmm.
Innocent, I could see him persevere the scent of the spirit all through, and he's okay. And eventually, he went. We were not asked for rent that day.
No?
So we woke up very early in the morning, went to hustle. And then from there, we came in the evening. I told Innocent to be behind the door. So I told the landlord, Innocent has been admitted in hospital. Innocent was admitted in hospital for 3 weeks until we mandate to raise rent.
Goodness, that's quite the
So
journey.
it's something that
quite the
I've always
journey.
told people that there's nothing that is poverty is a choice, for God's sake.
It's true. It's true.
Because we've both been given equal opportunity. And what matters is how we handle them. Our attitude is the main thing. Just because God a B plus somewhere or an A minus or something. There's a generation that is sleeping. The generation that is, I've always told people, these average people, these people
I'm
who
okay with okay.
You've done some, some career in nursing, you've done some accounts, you really pretend not to start small. You really don't want to start small. You also don't want to have a mentor. You think that every person you see driving a big car probably is, just like I always get people call me Illuminati or something. I'm
like you were born into the
are
money.
you okay in your head?
Sorry, you've mentioned mentorship, and I would like to know, are there some people that you're mentoring? People who-
lot.
Tell me about that.
What happens is this. Once you work in Pitchface company, you cannot work for more than 2 years. I don't see you driving a car and you're working with me for more than 2 years. Your attitude is an issue. And what I do, I instill some discipline in you.
Okay.
Pitchface is a company that grows young people. Actually, most of the people who work with us are between the age of 20 and 40. It's only the other day that I saw somebody who is 49, and I've always dissed her. Told her, hey, she was working in some bank and now she's with us. I told her, hey, you're still working. It was personally, I want to retire at 35. But what I tell people is this.
How old are you now?
I'm only 28.
You're 28. By 35, you should have retired.
I should retire. And retiring means where now money works for you.
Money works for you.
You've really worked for money, and now you need to sit down and work for, money work for you.
Okay. We've talked about your journey. From where you started to where you are now, where do you want to go next?
I see PMD group of companies own the biggest bank in this country in actually less than 10 years. You cannot grow using your own money. You must learn to use other people's money. That's growth.
Interesting.
If you're not a good borrower, if you actually save money a lot, then it means you've got a lot of money than your brain. But people need to learn to borrow. People use other people's money.
Yes.
And a bank is a place where the poor go to save and the rich go to borrow the poor's money.
Yes.
You only grow using other people's money. Now, the bank becomes the best partner on that. So for us, we not only want to get to that, like, just borrowing. We want to get to the level where we now invest in other people's ideas through the banking sector and other things. And in the next 10 years, we also see this company become the biggest in terms of employment structure and growing people.
Absolutely.
I have seen through my idea several young people, even those people who quit along the way,
Yeah.
because I also see some other young people come, they don't want to sustain the pressure. They get along the way, wanna talk, because working with Osoro is one uphill task. I've always told people that our lives are more or less directed by politics.
Okay.
We cannot run away from politics. Initially, I used to think that politics is just for politicians or people who just speak outside there. But I didn't know that you get affected by politics. Bad leadership affects your business. When we import goods from foreign countries, our taxes are affected by the current government or the then government. So we also need to be part of that movement so that we get to protect our territories and have a voice for that. And because of that, I am part of the political game in the mainstream. I am the next South Mogrango MP.
Goodness.
In 2017 to 2027.
Okay.
The next governor in Kisii County, 2027 to 2032. and then you're president 2032 to 2042. That is possible. So
That is
keep your
possible.
vote for me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I will do that. 3 things as we finalize this conversation. 3 things that you intend to see or intend to change in the politics world and also in terms of nurturing the youngsters out there.
In the political scene, we are actually tired of just talking and getting young people told to sit down and wait for things to just happen or through some miracle or something by the government. We are part of
Viongozi
this
wa
plan.
kesho.
Viongozi wa kesho. Kesho yetu sasa ni sasa hivi.
Okay.
We are ready to be part of the change movement, and we are not gambling as young people. And I'm actually urging I live for that day that there will be equality in terms of leadership, both for women and young people. That you walk in the street, you're very okay that your leadership is in safe hands. Not only looking at the politics and wait for, we laugh on TVs on Fridays when we see some political games and everything. We need to see that particular change right to my village. I want to see that power and electricity even in my grandmother's toilet. And that will bring joy for me. And that is what I'm focusing on in South Mugrango. And as I've said, we are not gambling. On the business world, let me say that we're happy. The country is in the right direction.
Absolutely.
If young people are motivated to do, business. I only tell these things to young people wherever. You learn to live on 3 Ps.
3 Ps.
Yes.
Take note.
Patience, perseverance, and persistence. And if you don't make at least 1 million in a day, stop being in bed past 4 a.m. Your head is an issue if you are still in bed past 4 a.m. and going to work every now and then, waiting for manna from heaven.
Goodness.
Poor is a synonym of the word passing over opportunities repeatedly. So wherever you're walking,
Passing over opportunities repeatedly. That is poor.
Yes.
Okay.
And opportunities are normally dressed in overalls. So they look at, opportunities are dressed in overalls. When you look at a person in an overall, you think he's really doing a lot of work. So you fear him. So that's how opportunities are dressed.
Okay.
Because every person wants to work in a big company.
Goodness.
Nobody wants to start small. Working in a big company, you're like a bolt, a small bolt in a big engine. You need to start small. So
And
that
then
you grow it.
grow it.
The sky is
So
the limit.
patience, persistence,
and
perseverance. Those are the
Get you
3
wherever.
Ps that you need to take home with you today. That's been our motivator with Sylvanus Osoro. You had it. Poor. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. So don't go ahead and do that. This is Inspirational Thursday. We're taking a very short commercial break. When we come back,
just a feeling of swimming underwater and you're fully immersed into something. You don't care what's happening on the surface.
Yeah.
Because when you're underwater, everything is quiet and and calm, and it's you're exploring in there.